I'm excited about this. John plucked me and said, hey, would you help, do this innovation group idea I've had, and it sort of meshed up. That's right, that happened to me during a business meeting today.
It happened to me in a venture capital pitch about a month and a half ago. Fortunately, the guys were big Van Halen fans.
Seal the deal.
Yeah.
Probably. But anyway, when we met and talked about this, I was excited because it sort of meshed up with a meetup idea that I had, so it all kind of worked out. And so I'm happy to come and do the welcome. But what I like about this, the Innovation Group Nashville, I like what John wrote about it, a monthly fireside chat gathering of thought leaders in technology, entertainment, and new media content. There's a million clubs and groups and councils and all kinds of stuff around town, but I was really interested in this, in people who are really doing stuff in town, sitting around and talking and sharing ideas. And that's, it's really simple, plain, and clear. Informal, transparent, non-solicitous. I think that's wonderful. So I'm excited about this group. I think it's yet another thing that's going on around town that is helping to support the creative class. And for somebody who is a big fan, proponent, and someone who works in music and technology, I think this is very needed and very important. So thank you so much for coming. And John Pashada, he's going to take it from there.
Yeah, guys, thank you for coming out on kind of the first kickoff event for this. And yeah, just to reiterate Katie's welcome, kind of the vision for this was not to be a totally social event, really to kind of drill down on people that are taking action, kind of at the intersection of entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. There's a lot of healthcare things that are going on in town, but really to kind of carve out a subset of that within the media, music business, kind of the next generation of companies. There's not a lot of kind of focused thinking going on in that space, so that's we wanted to kind of differentiate a little bit in that way. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to do like every first Thursday of each month. We're going to have a guest who's had some good success and really a little bit further along, maybe had an exit or two with a company, and really share their experiences, their best practices, their wins, their losses, their fumbles, and really their hindsight is our foresight, and to really take their experiences and have just a real transparent conversation around it, So kind of easy, not a big to do, but just a real kind of transparent conversation. So with that, let me welcome our first guest, Joe Kustelski from Rockhouse Partners. Joe.
Would you guys mind if you switch seats? It'd be easier for the.
You
could, yeah.
We planned this.
Rolling.
Nice.
Yeah, good. So, Joe, do you want to kind of give us a little history, nutshell, bio?
Sure. Yeah, I'm from Nashville. I was born. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here. I went to Hillwood High School. I went to Vandy undergrad, and then one Hillwood fan. And then I've left Nashville several times. So as soon as I finished college, I threw everything in a car and went to San Francisco. Turns out California was in the middle of their worst recession ever. I didn't get the memo, and so I just went out there and just kind of did odd jobs for a while. And then I came back for a little while. Then I went to Europe. Then I came back. Then I went to Asia, California, a couple different spots, and I came back. And so now I'm here. Nashville's where I'm going to be for the foreseeable future, and I'm excited about that. Gotten most of the long 2-3 year travels out of my system.
Where in Europe?
Lived in Prague in the Czech Republic for a couple of years, and then bartended in Greece for a summer. Very good. Running a bar in Prague was way too exhausting, so I had to go to Greece and work like 7 days a week during the tour. So right now I run Rockhouse Partners. I worked at a company called Echo. We did digital marketing for Ticketmaster. We worked with artists. So we worked with Kanye West, Rascal Flatts, Dolly Parton, and did all their digital marketing. And really, the seeds of Rockhouse were planted at Echo, and Mark Montgomery, who's a real active rabble rouser. He was the CEO there, and once Ticketmaster acquired Echo. For a while there, we basically did the same things, but it occurred to us after a while that artists are relatively, they can be relatively challenging to work with. Yeah. All this talk about up with the creative class, but it turns out that actually, and Steve Day will back me up. Steve Day, are artists hard to work with sometimes?
Oh, not at all.
Okay, good. And he ran operations for us at Echo, so he would know. But really, the last before Ticketmaster basically shut Echo down and moved it back to LA. The last thing that I really worked on was a business plan to change the focus from artists and start working with venues. So here's the benefits of artists and venues. Artists, they're producing music whenever they feel like. They're going to tour once every whenever they feel like. There's an interesting model over here. With venues, they've got a recurring revenue model. They typically sign ticketing contracts that are 3 to 5 years. So there's a lot of stability there. And then whereas artists typically have teams of people that just kind of, clump around them and actually do a lot of things for them. Venues are actually, it's not really a sexy side of the business. I mean, anybody who's been, and I spent a lot of time in bars during the day, I mean, it's not, it's just, they're not really clean. I mean, they're great at 11 o'clock when the band goes on, but have you been to Exit In during the day? I think not.
7
Yeah, okay. That might be a different story.
So the idea for Rockhouse came out of Echo.
The last thing we did was pitch Ticketmaster as they were closing it down and moving it to LA. We said, hey, we've got a model. We're going to do everything we do for artists, which is, websites, email marketing, social media, e-commerce. We're going to do them for venues. And they said no. And so Ton Albright, who was running Echo at the time, and Kevin Brown, who was running digital marketing we got together, and actually as soon as they said that we were going to get laid off, pretty much the next day we went over, within weeks we were over at Owen poaching space and just meeting there, during work hours while we were just riding out our time at Echo. And so, the plan was, let's start working with festivals, fairs, venues, and tours. And that was one area we had a lot of success and actually had really terrific margins working with BlackBerry sponsoring the John Mayer Summer Tour, Kingsford Charcoal sponsoring Keith Urban Summer Tour. I mean, that stuff was actually, we probably made more money on those than we made on, ever made on some of our other clients.
Artists.
So, what's that?
Artists.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is. I mean, try to squeeze money out of there. It's just it can be really challenging. So Ton and Kevin and myself, we got going. I mean, we did bootstrap it. We worked out of Clint Smith. I worked with Clint Smith, who runs Emma. I worked with him at City Search way back in the day. So Clint gave us some space over at Emma. John moved into that spot.
You took the space out of you
Yes,
guys.
after we did. There's a cracked photo of us
That's
that
right.
we left, and we accidentally, as we were getting ready to hand them our goodbye token, we were just kind of messing around. We dropped it. So we figured, so it was a really cheesy picture of us, and the glass shattered. It made it even better, we thought. So we gave it to them, and they hung it in a dark corner where nobody ever goes. So. But John's seen it with, so that really touches our heart.
Well, Joe, talk about kind of that ignition phase. Okay, you left Echo.
Yep.
3 guys in a room.
Yep.
What does that stealth mode, whatever you want to call it, that phase 1, what did that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because we were bootstrapping, we just picked up a couple clients, right away, just service consulting, and then just every minute that we were not working on stuff, we were just working on what was the plan. I mean, we probably have more just, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
There was no technology.
There was no, I mean, no technology at the time. We hadn't
Right.
even, we didn't even have a resource to start building it. But I mean, basically, we just spent a lot of time whiteboarding and talking to people about what we were, planning to do. Now, here's the funny thing. It's like that we had worked, Ton and I specifically had worked on this venue, product and services model. But as we left Ticketmaster, honestly, it kind of had a bad taste in our mouth. So we immediately moved into sponsorship. So we were going to just change the sponsorship landscape. And so, we've been working with some large sponsorship deals, fairly successfully, but it's never grown, and it doesn't have the potential to scale. It's a little bit like working with artists. It's just the sales cycle is so long.
Right.
It took actually a little while. We wandered before we got back to let's focus on venues, fairs, festivals, and tours.
When did you start, Joe?
We all got Echo. I think we got laid off on tax day 2 years ago, so 2009. So within a couple weeks, we were working on it. We incorporated in August of 2009. And then we waited until we had 5 or 6 clients before we had our official launch, which was in February of last year.
So Rockhouse Partners recently got purchased, had a liquidity event.
Yep. So we were acquired by Etix. Etix is the second largest ticketing company.
2 years?
Yeah.
From start to
Yeah.
liquidity event.
Yeah. But I mean, again,
Tough stretch.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a lot. I mean, just the past 2 years has been. Actually, my girlfriend's here, so she can attest. I mean, it's been fairly it's been pretty
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, but I mean, like a lot of 1 and 2 a.m. Mornings. It's been a pretty nutty and unstructured 2 years. I will say that, which is what we signed up for. But Etix, we had been doing a lot of work with Ticketmaster clients. Churchill Downs. We actually the day of our press release. Churchill Downs called us. We got 2 phone calls that day. One was from Churchill Downs and one was from the Seattle Mariners. So that press release day was a pretty good day for us, and the Churchill Downs thing, actually turned into real business. But we didn't, we didn't really have, just clear focus on what we were going to be doing until, we just kept talking to ticketing companies. All of us had worked at ticketing companies. The people we took from Echo, they had worked at ticketing companies. The ticket marketing space is the one space we know, and just really, I don't know why it took us so long to get to it, even though.
So talk about how you're innovating in that space. Because ticket sales are down, 13% last year?
Yeah,
so
year over year. I mean, ticket sales for Ticketmaster are the sort of the big thing. I mean, yeah, it's hard for the Black Eyed Peas to go sell out Soldier Field 2 years in a row when they don't release a new album. I mean, you can only dip from that well. There's so many discretionary entertainment dollars out there. Rockhouse is focused on the middle market, and it's again, I mean, it's not
middle market is
middle market for us is clients like Nativa Music Festival in Maine, Jam Band Festival, 15,000 tickets. Average ticket price might be $200, $225. It's a 4-day camping festival. So for us, a couple $1 million in revenue. They pay us, whatever to market it. I mean, it actually makes sense. They license our technology platform, so there's some recurring revenue for us. That's a great client for us. Summer Camp Music Festival in Illinois. It's right outside the campus there in Champaign, Urbana-Champaign, and they might sell 25,000 tickets. Average price $175. But again, I mean, real dough. But it's not one of these. It's not U2. It's not the Rolling Stones. It's not one of these mega tours. But what we believe is more and more music festivals, mid-sized music festivals that are got a niche focus. So their jam band, electronica has been taken off. They don't have numbers on this, but I mean, just what we've seen, electronica is, those festivals are just going through the roof. So we're just having a lot of interesting conversations that help us address that mid-market. Coachella, they sold out all their tickets in a week. I mean, they don't need anybody's help to sell tickets. But there are a lot of mid-sized music festivals that will need help. We're a good fit.
So you do the traditional marketing for the event, but can you talk a little bit about your platform, technology, modules, features?
Yep. So I'm going to back up and just say Ticketmaster took a ticketing, a platform, making a a ticketing platform, a marketing platform, as far as they could. So they kind of, it wasn't even a bolting on, but they've got a product called Mail Manager that tries to talk to their ticketing platform, and they provide some reporting. But if you want, let's just say, a conversion report from Ticketmaster, it goes in a queue and you get it back in 4 to 6 weeks. Not really actionable, if you're trying to run a business or if you've only got a month until your festival. So our technology platform takes data inputs from your ticketing platform, your email marketing platform, Facebook Insights, and Google Analytics, and basically we've just got our own set of metrics that we use and some of them are fairly standard. Obviously open rate, click through rate, but we take that one step further to conversion rate, and it helps us better understand the value of an email address or social media like, or or just a relationship. A big part of what we do is find the unidentified, the unknown attendee. So the average person who goes to an event buys 3 tickets roughly. So for every person, if I know you, Dave, I don't know the 2 people you bring. So my job is to find out who you are in venue, especially for a music festival that's going to have a new lineup the next year. If it's a tour, the band may or may not care. But especially for music festivals and for fairs, we work with a number of state fairs. We just need to know who those people are to make sure that they come back next year.
How do you do that? I missed that part.
Oh, so we have all sorts of mechanisms. just the standard tool bag of contesting, social media interaction, giveaway, downloads, just saying whatever we can do. We also have a number of things that we do, like if you bought the ticket, it's like, tell your friends and we'll send you something, a voucher for something, just all sorts of stuff. And it really varies. The specifics vary from client to client, but the tools are the same. And it scales pretty well.
So talk about what are some fumbles that you guys had, some failures, and how did you pivot? What did you learn? What that look like for you guys?
So we just probably the biggest thing coming out of the gate was leaving the venue model alone. We had a fully baked business plan that we just pitched to Ticketmaster's senior management team, and it wasn't that they thought it was a bad idea, that the numbers didn't make sense. But again, why did we abandon that? Why did it take us, a full another 8 months to really get back and start digging in on that? Sponsorship seemed sexy. A lot of the things that we did at Echo were really sexy. They were pretty sexy projects. And we signed up Lance Armstrong and Team Radio Shack right away. And so that kind of gave us, we thought we could get some traction there. Just turned out the business did not scale. And just going back to the fundamentals, it's like even a service business, you just got to remember, just if you're going to do it once, be ready to do it 100 times. Because otherwise that business is just going to, hit a wall.
Systematized process.
So process driven. Yeah. It's like now, a year and a half of beating our heads against this. It's like I want the number one, technology to do everything it can, and after that, services. Listen, it might not be sexy to have a digital marketing call center, but if you know that you're going to get a call from a venue and they're going to have 1 of 10 types of questions, it's like you can productize that service, and that's really what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got the same questions. If you're a venue, how much money am I owed, and where's my money? It's like those 2 questions cover 90% of everything that you hear in the venue space, and anybody who's ever worked for a venue or a festival or a fair, that's the only question that really matters. So just the biggest fumble. It's like stick to your knitting, figure out what you're good at, stick to it. Don't try to go compete in space. The second thing I think that the key learning for us was I'll just say, playing in unsexy spaces. Everybody wants to play on the artist side in the entertainment space, and just there's no money there. There's no money there. That ship has sailed. So I don't even know how to say that enough. But when I look at what I want Rockhouse to be, we want to employ 25, 30 people, entry level, straight out of Belmont School of Music here. We want to employ them and just come in and have them do digital marketing, and really be tied to a bottom line. and be thinking about ROI from the moment they walk in the door. And we've got one intern right now who's actually from she's an undergraduate here, and she actually is terrific. I mean, and she will not. I mean, we have to tell her to go home at 5 o'clock. She's supposed to leave at like 3. Yeah. I mean, but she's amazing, and she's had 2 or 3 marketing internships, and one was at a label and one was at a publisher. And she just said, she didn't get real work. I mean, I can't give her real work fast enough. So,
awesome.
Just like projects that actually have an impact on somebody's bottom line.
So, metrics and milestones.
Yep.
What do you measure internally at Rockhouse? What are those kind of data points that your diagnostics?
Yeah. I mean, that's been one thing that's really moved. I mean, revenue is always the first, obviously the first thing you talk about. I mean, how much money do we have coming in? What's our pipeline? So when we started Rockhouse, we started off, and I had this guy who was a mentor to me back when I worked in the Bay Area. And he had his Monday morning meeting at 7 o'clock. He was just like, you know what, if we start at 7 o'clock, then Monday morning it sets the tone for the entire week. So we started a meeting and we called it the 7. And
7 o'clock on Monday?
Yep. So basically, if you're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. So we were like, let's be serious. And so the first thing we always we go through and talk about where our client projects were, where our partner related projects were, where our technology platform was. So less probably quantitative, more qualitative. There again, we're a startup. There just wasn't tons to measure. And then go through people, operations, technology, some other the other stuff, and then talk about whether or not people were going to be taking vacation or going to be gone that week. And by that time, pretty much everybody knew they had to be around. I think that was really how we structured everything from the get-go. After we had been around and incorporated 1 year, we moved the meeting back to 8 o'clock in the morning, and so we still have the 8, but basically it's the same. It's like you talk about your revenue producers, and then talk about where the technology product is, because those are the 2 things that really matter.
Great. So, entrepreneurs that inspire you. Don't just be in town, but like, who are the guys that you look to say, like, this guy really gets it?
Yep. In between gigs, as Echo shut down, I had the opportunity to work with the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, and they were just getting going. And I will tell you, a lot of people applied for the job to run the Entrepreneur Center. And when Michael Burchin finally, just as an aside one day, said, you know what, I would consider doing that. And he'll probably tell the story some other way. But I will say that when Michael Burchin, that guy is just, the guy's a machine. And there was no doubt.
Where does that come from?
I have no idea. But that guy, you talk about the 7 being aggressive. I know he turns the lights on at the Entrepreneur Center at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. That guy is focused. And just while we were, we were trying to raise, I was working with Janet Miller from the Chamber and Todd Featherling from the Technology Council. And we were trying to raise like $250,000 to get this thing, into its next year. And Michael, sat down shortly after he was hired, and he said, I think we need some more money. And we're thinking, okay, so you need $500,000 to get going. And he's like, no, we need I think 3 or 4 or 5 million. But just already was thinking. He was thinking big, and he was thinking, and we were like, Michael, how are you going to spend $3 million? And he said, no, we need to build this right. He's thinking 3 to 5 years ahead. And so when I think about people who inspire me, I'd say Michael, and I think what he's doing for the entrepreneurial landscape in Nashville, it's pretty inspiring. And the other person, when I was young, I worked at an incubator out in Los Angeles. It was called Idea Lab. Back in the day, it spun out a bunch of stuff. Some of it failed miserably, like E-Toys and Bill Gross. Bill Gross ran it. And I worked in there. And while I was there, for a 25-year-old kid, it was a pretty great spot to see a bunch of, bunch of high-speed entrepreneurs. And one of the guys I worked for there actually was really one of my mentors.
So, talk about the DNA. You talk high-speed entrepreneurs. To break that down, what is that? If you were to put that in a blender, what would that come out as?
Yeah, mostly just, it's like one thing. It's like working harder than other people, especially when you're starting out. It's like, that's what it boils down to. It's like, how many times can you whack your head against the wall bing, 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 bing. Okay, door. You know what? I mean, you can't. Lights might be out. You don't know. You just gotta. I mean, it's like the people I want to work with, and the people like our intern from Belmont now. It's like the difference between her and everybody else we interviewed. She's an incredibly hard worker. You know, the one junior marketing person we hired. I mean, that guy. I mean, you know, it's 7, 8, 9 o'clock. If there's stuff to do, he sticks around and gets it done. So when I think about people, yeah, it's work ethic. I'd like to think that we're all incredibly smart and gifted, but you know what? That we found that's not the case. Sometimes we're idiots. But if we continue, we can plow through that and just get over the hump.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Well, kind of talk going on that idea is working harder and that. How do you? I'm curious to know how do you, when you hit that wall, how do you continue that momentum where you just kind of there's projects I'm working on where I get to a point where the excitement and momentum of the idea has kind of started to get to a point. How do you get that back? I mean, or get through that hump? I'm just curious because there's a lot of entrepreneurs and people that I know that they lose the momentum and for whatever reason, how do you kind of get back into that cycle?
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah. You know what? And having worked in incubators and startups and just a lot of pretty dynamic environments for most of my life. Typically, I will say I've had less of that, but certainly I've encountered more from maybe the other side, especially when you've got business partners and they're like, okay, all right, I'm not seeing this anymore. So maybe my role has always been more like talking, just to be honest, probably talking people down from the ledge. Maybe too dumb to know any better, or too dumb to care. But it's like when it's not when you've committed to going, you've got just got to go. And I guess probably one of my weaknesses as a leader is like any sort of is a lot of that sort of more compassionate kind of stuff. It's just not.
What is that?
I don't know. We were talking to this guy, entrepreneur guy from Chicago, and he had some success, and he came down and he was talking to us about a potential deal, and we were talking about he was talking about being in a startup and just working with a lot of people who were more emotional because he was working in the entertainment space, and he paused for a second and he took a sip of his coffee and he was like, you know what, I care about emotion as much as I can chart it on a graph. And I was like, you know what? And it was a pretty hard thing to say. Kind of a funny thing to say. It was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but you know what? Ultimately, I kind of agree with him. You know what? When you're trying to do this stuff, some of that, it's good to recognize, people's feelings, but at the same time, it's like some people are just are just built differently. So I don't know really how to answer that question, except that you do hit walls, and just again, it helps when you've got work. And one thing that we've had is we've had a lot of stuff to keep us busy. Typically, the problem is Kevin Brown and I am each other at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and being like, okay, I want to. You kind of hope you're not the first person to fall off the planet. But I'm like, dude, you're 30 years old, man. You can stay up all night. I'm not too old for this shit.
That's great. Any other thoughts, guys? Questions?
So you really had strength in team versus strength in product, because you may have not survived kind of coming into things as you did. You did. I'm so glad you did. But no, in the fact that you mentioned that you all wanted to work together.
Oh yeah, we all did want to.
But
yeah.
you did a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah, well, it's not. I don't know.
I just think that's interesting.
Yeah,
not everybody survives that.
Yeah, for some people, for me, it'd be dangerous to stay in a job where I had to go and work and be somewhere from 9 to 5, where I couldn't wear workout clothes when I was the only meeting I had was at the gym all day. So that's the kind of thing for me. So I guess when I look at it, that way, it's just more like I don't know. Just working. We were lucky to find committed people, and most of the people. The other terrific stroke of luck that we had was that Echo let go of 70 people at the same time. So we were able to actually pick up some folks right away that were especially on the technology team. And I ran technology at Echo, so there were a couple developers that we were able to work with right away, and we did get lucky.
How are you funded from day one?
We bootstrapped it for the first year, and then we took an financial round.
Bootstrapped, did you guys put money into it, or?
Yeah.
consulting paid
the
for it.
consulting pretty much paid for it. So yeah, we just strip down our salaries. One thing in retrospect, fumbling. Initially during we would have stripped down our salaries more. I mean, we would have just. I mean, cash is definitely everything. As you go from I remember when Churchill Downs, they had an entertainment group. Just as we were renegotiating, we were getting ready to ink a 2-year contract with them. They closed down the group, and it was they fired all of our people. That day, I was like, oh, I wish we had actually had stripped down and kept more cash in the bank. The funny thing about that is that all of a sudden, the former CEO of Churchill Downs, who ran their entertainment group, now he's on the streets, and we had done everything for him. So he actually just picked up the phone and started calling people for us. He's like, man, we feel terrible about this. So that actually, and the VP below him did the same thing, and then the director below him ended up doing the same thing. So it ended up working out. We were really sorry we lost our job, but that actually turned out to work out well for us.
That's awesome. So, favorite Nashville story that you think most people might know? Funny Nashville story.
Favorite Nashville story? I don't know if I have one off the top of my head.
Does this have to include him?
No.
Yeah, I've seen tons of funny things. They're like funny smells
You can
at
share.
Paradise Park. Yeah, I don't really know.
No? Come on, at Echo?
At Echo.
There has to.
Were there funny stories? I don't know. Steve might know.
Yeah.
Were there funny stories?
There were a few.
There were a few funny stories. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty tame. It was pretty laid back. I mean, it was a standard, music industry. I mean, it was definitely, it was good, but it wasn't. I wish that I could tell you about some craziness that went on, but I don't think there was really.
Do you think the sale of Echo is what went wrong? Do you think it, or just out of curiosity, because there's always inside and outside stories, but I'm just curious what your thoughts on, would it have been sustainable the way it was going on its own, or was the Ticketmaster the thing that just kind of tipped it over?
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say. I mean, it's a good question, and definitely I had a beer with the guy who ran BizDev for us a while back, and we did go through a little bit of armchair quarterbacking. Mark Montgomery would probably know better than anybody, but I mean, it changes things. We've been acquired now. It's like I've got, I guess kind of I've got a boss. I mean, but I mean, we're pretty much going to be allowed to run independently, in theory. I'm pretty confident in that. Otherwise, I wouldn't. We wouldn't.
Did your negotiation with Ticketmaster help you in your negotiations this round?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was not part of the. I came on just as Ticketmaster was acquiring Echo, so I was not part of any negotiation there. But definitely just getting a view into that. I mean, it really did. And I'd worked in a number of startups before, and just seeing how things had gone sideways, especially during the internet boom. I mean, there were all sorts of crazy acquisitions and stuff. That's what moved me from LA to San Francisco in '99, and I lost my job within 3 months. I mean, I'd seen plenty of things go bad, but it definitely helped me open my eyes to the type of company that we wanted to be acquired by. And that was one thing that, I mean, time might prove differently, but I mean, we're excited with the people that we're working with, and I think that might not have been the case with Echo and Ticketmaster.
So what are you seeing, just kind of last questions here, what are you seeing on the horizon that excites you, companies that are doing new things that...
Just in general, I could not, I mean, I'm excited about what, just in general, what Ton Albright, one of the co-founders, is going to be working with the Nashville Music Council to help incubate as many music business startup, entertainment business startups as possible. And like that excites me, just mostly because the Nashville Music Council, between the mayor to, the big names like sort of the Jack Whites, but also a lot of the people who actually get things done in the entertainment space around here, like Marianne McGreedy, who's not, I mean, she's just one, she's running the music council. Like having all of those folks think about how Nashville can get more music and tech focused, that really excites me, and I want to do whatever I can, in my small way, just to contribute to that. And what the Entrepreneur Center is doing, I think, listen, if Nashville is going to be known for one thing, I would love for it to be known for the, for its entrepreneurs, especially in the music space. space. It seems like there's so much here, so many cities would kill for like a lot of the assets that we have here. So I feel like it's ours to lose, and I'm excited to do anything I can to help that.
Yeah, that's great. Joe, thanks for coming and talking to the group, Innovation Nashville. We're going to be doing first Thursdays of each month, so
I'll be back.
come back.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Any other thoughts, questions, guys?
I like that. It's ours to lose. You're very correct.
Yeah.
It is ours to lose, and just there are tons of, I mean, people just in this room who are doing, startups. I mean, I want us to see us win. And I guess I think it's incumbent on us to like
That's
do
what
things
this is
like
about.
this and beat each other's idea before the market does it for us.
Because here's part of my thinking of this. It's like this isn't like a TED event where you go out and float your ego. This is like looking under the hood, war stories of a band of brothers, what they've experienced.
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. Their hindsight is our foresight. So that's a valuable discussion to be drilling down on. So yeah. Thanks for.
Yeah, and I probably just mentioned like 2 or 3 of the bigger mistakes we made, but I mean the whole thing was just, a lot of it. I'd like to think that we moved smoothly down our path. No, it's just not. It just was not like that, and there was a lot of, for the most part, if you know Tom or Kevin, there was very little yelling and screaming, which was good. But there was a lot. It's been a pretty blurry 2 years, just in terms of just work and stuff, and everybody who's in the startup knows that's just kind of how it goes.
Who led your angel round? Who'd you go with?
That was a private entertainment focused company. Actually, it's a
Private.
pretty private.
Yeah. Somewhat private.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty private. No, it's a some VCs who want to play in the set of fun, and
Were they local?
they were not. Yeah. So the good thing was that Ton worked in M&A at Ticketmaster for 5 years, and so he had seen everybody in the entertainment space. They'd come either pitching a deal or putting money in a deal.
Was Ton involved in the acquisition of Echo from
Yep.
Ticketmaster?
Yep. Actually, he did the deal and then took it over from Mark after left.
You mentioned assets
Good.
in this community that can bring out entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Do you think there's enough money supporting entrepreneurship in Nashville? Because that's one thing that separates us from San Fran, is that they've got lots of VCs and money.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I wish we could have gone around, and I know that what Jumpstart's doing, like Jumpstart Foundry, is doing. I'm excited about. It's like $25,000 or $15,000, $15,000 seed cap. But that's a really small thing.
Yeah,
it's like
not a lot of
you
runway.
can't go run around. And I know John's. Looked at you probably talked to most everybody in town. It's a tough environment. You're really looking at angel, private, high net worth individuals. I don't think there's no, I don't think anybody's got. I don't know too many people have gotten local angel funding for an entertainment startup.
Technology, definitely not. Everybody I know talked to has always had to go out
Elsewhere.
to work and stuff,
Yeah.
And like you said, the Jumpstart Foundry is a nice step in the right direction,
Yeah.
but that's good seed money. I've seen people take that and then get into the Entrepreneur Center, which is a brilliant plan, and
Yeah.
it works for them.
Yeah, and that's the kind of progression where some of these pieces like Jumpstart and the Entrepreneur Center, it's almost just like stepping stones, but we're not there in the Bay Area. It's just rife with people who are, they go out in the Europe bars and they're sitting around talking about their next idea, and the VCs are often at the bar or in the marina sitting there drinking. So you know what? That's a great environment. I'm not sure we're ever going to be able to foster all that, but it's something that we definitely can create with things like this, like what's going on at the Entrepreneur Center, and all the people who are pitching Jumpstart Foundry.
We're starting as a city. We're starting to find our feet. We've had some wins. Emma's doing great. Rockhouse, you guys have done well. Echo, Capital Confirmation had a 10x return for their investors. So we're starting to really get some wins in town, and that messaging is starting to come together that's part of why I'm excited about doing this, is to really tell some of those stories. Because sitting down with Brian and having a conversation like this is like, dude, that's priceless.
Yeah. Yep. And the other thing is that I'm excited about is telling those stories. And if the Music Council and if Jack White or Lou Harris, whoever, can get people's attention long enough for somebody to tell those stories, whatever they are, then that's going to be a win. The mayor, for the mayor to be talking about entrepreneurship and the music business, terrific for us. So I just want to see.
Yeah, we really do have the opportunity to kind of re-earn the title of Music City.
Yeah.
Because we can't play by the rules of 1970s and 1980s.
CDs are not going to come back.
No, and that's, we have to create companies that are forward-looking and not just trying to
Hang
sell
on,
us
yeah.
this.
Do you think though that the struggle, the majors that are struggling, because the whole industry was based so much on them and specifically country music, when there's so much more variety in town than people realize? Do you think that's kind of the same? It helped us in the the 90s,
Yeah.
but now it's hindering us because they don't. Like I said, there's no money in it. So it's like, why develop something for entertainment when the majors are hanging on to their last last nickel, and they're not willing to spend any money to try something new? Like like the struggle like Spotify is having. They're not willing to throw something against the wall and see if it sticks because they don't really have any money, because if it doesn't stick, they're not there anymore.
Yep, yeah, they're in a tough spot. That's a big sinking ship, and that's a tough one. And the question is, how, I guess the way I look at that is that model is going away. So how can we take the people out of there who really understand publishing? Publishing is still going to be a viable business, even though it looks. How can they connect with Tim for my works and figure out different ways? Certainly what you're doing. That's an opportunity to connect a lot of dots, and there's the labels were just kind of a monolithic. There were 5 of them. One time you worked with some of them back in the day, but yeah, that's gone. So how can we take those people who are kind of the assets and put them to work on what's next? So
Last question.
Hopefully,
Anybody got the last?
Somebody has one. We can rewind. I have one that kind of piqued my curiosity, and that is.
This is Philip, by the way.
Thanks. Katie called it a paradigm shift. When you made your major model shift from venues early on, I'm curious about the size of your team and their compensation.
Yep.
Because I've been in startup experiences where that was a bad experience, where there's a paradigm shift and the communication breakdown, and you kind of beat yourself up a little bit about your sympathy. But I have a hunch, depending on what your answer is, that actually helped motivate those people and push them through.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at 2 different things, and one, after a while, it's not that focus on this is it, what is gonna be it. It really did galvanize everybody, and so just on the compensation side, when things got then on the cash side, one of the things that we always did was make sure that the people who had signed on. We had a team of 8 plus some part-timers and stuff, and just we were really fortunate to never have really significant cash flow problems. But yeah, you go through a couple months there where it's things are fairly lean, but it does just make you aggressive. And talk about regaining your interest and stuff. Oh man, it's like when you get really serious when you kind of get smacked in the face. And so I would say that really has been one of the other things too that keeps me up. Because one thing, I am competitive, and I will never ever lose. And or if I do, you're gonna. I'm competitive. So I will just say that definitely helps keep you focused too. And Annie's back there laughing, but yeah. So but that does help keep you focused, and even when you go through that.
When you told your story to me, that made me really respect you as a leader. Because the fact that you're able to take those people through that tough time and reprioritize, remotivate, and keep them buying in is pretty impressive, I think. So.
Well, again, we were lucky to have a team that was, a lot of people that we've worked with before, and also just, they're pretty rock star people, and just some of the, folks who know them, they're really awesome people, and so that's actually why we're glad to have them.
Good. Guys, thanks for coming.
Cool.
Hang out. We've got about another 20, 30 minutes, so hang out and visit. And thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Yeah.